Good morning. Morning, everyone. Mark has brought barbecue sauce with pulled pork, fresh fruit, and the whole spread back there. Yeah. With that yet, let's start the morning and thank the Lord for the chance to gather together. Lord Jesus, we just stop, take a moment to thank you for yourself, for giving us life, and most of all for redeeming us. Thank you for the work you've given us to do, the purpose and mission in life. And we pray especially for Chad this morning as he brings a new message to us for our businesses. And we give you all the praise and glory in your precious name. Amen.
Amen.
So this morning we have Chad Kroepel, pardon me, Chad. And he's going to bring us an important message. I'm looking forward to this particularly. This is about how to use all the myriad of social media instruments to bring a message to your customer. So Chad, come on up. Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'm Chad Kroepel. Grew up in El Cajon, went to Valhalla High School, attended Scott Memorial.
Right on.
How's
it going?
I attended Scott Memorial, now Shadow Mountain. Was 5 years old when a new pastor came aboard over there at Scott Memorial, and I vaguely remember my parents saying, "I think this guy could go somewhere," and that's Dr. David Jeremiah. He's still around, and so from there I went to San Diego State. I graduated with a degree in communication, emphasis in advertising, and then went on to work for multiple ad agencies across Orange County and Los Angeles, where I was lucky enough to join CBS in Los Angeles, and then got invited back home to San Diego, working with Fox Sports San Diego, which is now Valley Sports. And then I found Salem Media. Salem Media is the 5th largest radio company in the US. And what I'm going to be talking about today, a little bit about radio, but more about all the assets that are going towards digital right now. That is truly our focus as we move forward. So that's just a little bit about me. And then here's our agenda. I'm going to talk about Salem Media, Salem Surround, the path to purchase, and that's how people move from awareness into conversion, and then the important digital marketing tactics. There are a lot out there. I'm going to be focusing on the ones that are more important. We're going to talk about the customer journey after that, and then I have a good example that kind of puts a bow on it and shows why all these different tactics are important. And then obviously questions that you can ask them during, I can answer them afterwards, whatever you prefer. So Salem Media here, you can see over 100 radio stations nationwide. We also have a publishing division. We own several URLs in the faith vertical as well as in the conservative vertical. But over here, you can see Salem Surround. This is really where, like I said, it's our fastest growing business unit. And it's where a lot of our own assets are going internally at Salem. And this I wanted to show you, Surround Faith. These are some of the URLs we own. If you want to get in touch with Christians across the US or in local markets, we are definitely a resource for that. We can reach 54 million. These are 54 million app impressions, 43 million monthly site impressions. Very big numbers. And you can see we have over 66 apps that are faith-based. So definitely the resource when it comes to Christian faith. Going into the local stations, we have the Answer KCBQ, that is a local conservative station. K-Praise is our local Christian teach and talk. The only other format that we have is Christian music. There is not a Christian music station here in San Diego, but you might have heard of The Fish up in Los Angeles. That's one of our stations, and that is Christian music. But locally, these are the two stations that we have. And just going through their audiences real quick and the programming. Listener profile. One thing that really pops out when you talk about these Salem stations is home ownership. So this is much higher. The San Diego average is right around 44, 45%. You can see K-Praise listeners, 89% of K-Praise listeners own their own home. It's a pretty even split between male and female. College educated, much more so than the San Diego market in general. And 55 plus, 47% are over 55 plus, so almost about half are over the age of 55. The then our programming, you can see we have some of the most influential Christian personalities, Dr. Dave Jeremiah. We have Dr. Robert Jeffress, Big Wave Dave. We now have a Pastor Scott that's in our lineup as well that can do things locally, integrate our advertisers locally, that kind of thing. And then the answer, the conservative station, again, home ownership very high with our listeners. Household income is up, college degree, they're very educated, but much more male on the conservative side. So, and then you have voices like Dennis Prager, Mike Gallagher, Charlie Kirk, a lot of up and coming conservative voices that are out there in the market. Now, moving into Salem Surround, I'm not going to be going into all of these, don't worry, but this shows you the breadth of all the different digital tactics that are out there that you can use to reach your customer. Some are very much more important than others, but this just shows you how much is out there and why you need somebody that knows what they're doing to really figure out what the right mix is for you, because there is the right prescription. It's about figuring out who can help you to find that prescription for your brand. And so I'm going to be going into a few of these, but the path to purchase is really going from all the way from awareness to conversion, and then even advocacy after the purchase. You have things like reviews and word of mouth, social posts after people buy. So those help your product as well. But from an awareness standpoint, radio, obviously an awareness medium. Can I ask you guys, what do you think another awareness medium is out there?
Twitter.
What is that?
Twitter.
Print? Twitter, absolutely. That is an awareness medium. But anything from like television, billboards that you see, something that everybody sees. If you're driving down the road, you see a billboard, that is awareness. You're strictly looking for awareness. You're not asking the consumer to take any action at that specific point in time. As we get further down this path to purchase, you have things like search, maps, directories, near me, GPS, reviews. You get down to the purchase, your online booking, purchase through the app. So it gets much more into the digital space as you get closer to the conversion point. And so we're going to be talking about a lot of the tactics right here that are involved in closer to the conversion, the reputation, the findability. That's where I'm going to be focusing here today. Number one, you have to have a website. If you don't have a website in today's day and age, nobody's going to be able to find you, because that's the first place people go is Google to find you. And if you don't have a presence there, you might as well not be in business, because it's one of those things that it really is how you show the community what your brand stands for. It's how they can get a hold of you. It's how they can interact and engage with your brand. So that's the most important. Pay-per-click, this is a big one. I mean, this is where you're going to get your leads. I'm sure a lot of you are doing it already. If you haven't, this is something that I think is almost necessary, depending on what your brand is and who your consumer is. And we also have, when you think of search, you think of Google, right? People go to Google and type things in, but believe it or not, the Yahoo Bing network represents 24% of search ads. That's only 7. So Google only reaches 70% of the searches, or basically has 70% of the searches. 24% belong to the Yahoo Bing network. And the Yahoo Bing network earns 38%, earns 100,000 or more. They're a little more affluent. So you want to make sure to incorporate Yahoo Bing when you're doing pay-per-click along with Google. And then this is an example of kind of a proposal and how we put those together. We obviously go beyond Google, like I said, to the Yahoo Bing network. But the first thing you do is you outline your geography. Where do you want to touch these people? Where is your business, and how far away from that business do you want to go? Do you want to do a 20-mile radius? Do you want to do a 50-mile radius? Is the entire state important to you? So that's number one when you're looking at search and pay-per-click. The second thing you're looking at is, what is going to be your focus? We come up with basically a keyword list. I'll show you an example of one shortly. A keyword list of the different areas that you are selling products in. So, for example, this was this specifically was for banking and financial services. So they were very interested in Orange County, targeting these specific cities, Newport Beach, Irvine. And then what we do is we go into marketplace and we see how much competition is out there and for your specific areas of expertise. And we can then come and tell you how expensive, or not how expensive, but what it's going to cost to be in the market at a competitive level. So we don't, when we put together a proposal, it's not just based on, you know, how much money you have or how much money we think it's going to be. We truly have done similar campaigns in the market, so we have a very finite idea of what it costs to get you the kinds of impressions and calls that you're going to get. Because going back kind of to the beginning of pay-per-click, the goal is to get somebody who's interested in your services. If you have, say, a hot sauce company, for example, and you type in hot sauces San Diego, you're going to have a list of different companies pop up in that search engine results page, and you want to make sure that you're right there at the top. And so you want to make sure that you have everything else. You have to make sure that you're above everyone else on that search engine results page when you do go into the market.
Could you make it barbecue sauce instead of hot sauce?
Yes, yeah, I can make a barbecue sauce. Absolutely, absolutely. You can do a barbecue sauce. And you would, in that case, you would not want to buy hot sauce keywords. You would only want to buy barbecue sauce keywords, because then you would be, the consumer would get to your ad and realize he was looking for a hot sauce, or he was looking for a barbecue sauce, and now this hot sauce comes here. So, but this gives you an example of what our proposals look like. It shows you what position you're going to be in, how many total impressions, how many clicks, the click-through rate. And this is the important one, the contacts. How many people are actually going to pick up the phone and call you because they want your product? So that's the important part of the pay-per-click. This is a slide. I know it's an eye chart, so don't be too scared here. But this just shows the work that we put into these pay-per-click programs before we go to market. So first, you have your keywords. These are all the keywords. If somebody were to punch these into Google, your ad would come up. And then in addition to that, you have your geography that you want to target here. So they're doing both a radius around their business. They're also buying the whole state if they have somebody that is looking for services in their area. But and this is just a snippet. This is just A through C. These keyword lists can go on multiple pages. Then we also have negative keywords. So if somebody types these keywords in along with the keywords that you want, we do not serve ads for them, because in some of these, for carpet disaster damage cleanup, this is a water restoration company, by the way. And if you type in carpet disaster cleanup, damage remediation, but you type in 888 chem dry, you know it's just carpet cleaning they need. They don't need water restoration. And so we do not serve an ad to them. It's a way to filter out the people that are searching for things that are not your product, because we only want to put your ad in front of people who want what you're selling or the services you provide. And a funny story with this one, this is Anytime Restoration. They are in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And the way that this client came about is that the owner, beautiful believer up in Minneapolis, Berdine Lemaster is the name of the CEO. Well, he was looking for a new pay-per-click vendor, and he vacations in San Diego. So he went and typed in water restoration company in San Diego. And I happen to have another water restoration company I work with here in San Diego. And when he typed that in, Ram Water Restoration came up in both the organic listing at the top and the paid listing at the top, which is the holy grail for anybody in pay-per-click. And so he immediately called Ram Water Restoration and says, who does your marketing? Whoever does it, I want them to do mine. They said, Salem Surround does my marketing. And Chad's his name. I'm going to give you his number right away. I got on the phone with Berdine, and 3 weeks later, we had their entire digital marketing campaign, which was very great. And then the first call we had with him, it was an onboarding call, and I was telling him, because we're a Christian conservative company, you're not going to be going in any questionable material. And he actually asked me, he said, you're a Christian conservative company? And I said, yeah. And he said, Chad, we pray before every single production meeting on Monday mornings. And I said, wow, I got God bumps. I still get God bumps when I think about this. But question?
Yeah, could you comment on using your competitors' names as keywords?
Yes, I can. And I honestly think it's a smart idea, depending on the situation. And if a lot of people would think that it is poaching maybe their customers, but that's simply not the case. You have to do that if you want to be successful, because I do have an example of that later on that I'm going to go through, where somebody did that and it worked out to their benefit. And I do think that it is something that will help you, because more often than not, they're going to be buying yours, you know, so if you can either play the game or choose not to, but I'll tell you 90% of the companies that do have competition that is severe will buy each other's. So that's a great question. It is a very good question. So next, SEO, search engine optimization. I know that we've talked about this before. I know Anton may have presented about this, but this is very important because 84% of searchers skip the paid ads that I just talked about. So that 16% is very, very important that do click on those ads, but 84% skip right through. And SEO is really how you show Google that you are a reputable business that do exactly what you need. And they continually change the way they look at businesses and your website to rate you, to give you a quality score. And so it's very important to have somebody investing in your SEO if you want to. Thank you. It's very important to invest in SEO if you want to be found, because again, people will move away from the paid ads and go strictly to the organic ads. And this is somewhat of a timely process. As you can see here, it can take up to 6 to 9 months to get to page 1 of Google. That's, to some, that's a long time, but that's because this is more of the marathon, where pay-per-click would be the sprint. So if you want something right away, if you want business right away, it's pay-per-click. But if you want to get that organic listing to move up higher, then you invest in CEO. But the real smart companies are investing in both, because like I alluded to earlier with that search, my Minneapolis client made that search. We had the #1 position in organic and the #1 in paid. So you have the top 2 listings on page 1. That's very important. And then I wish this graphic was a little bit higher, but this shows when you invest in SEO and then you stop, what happens. So if you miss a few days, not a lot of change, but if you stop doing it altogether, your rank on that page will start to deteriorate to where you might end up on page 2, page 3. So that's why SEO and a continuous investment in SEO is important. Video advertising, we hear more and more that video, and this is not television, this is video just on streaming devices. It could be anything from YouTube, digital out of home, websites. If you go to a news site, there's always a video of news that you have to watch. And the reason this is important is because you can now produce a video that can be inserted in, and any of these video units can be used across multiple platforms. But question?
Yes, do you have a ballpark price on that company that went nationwide with you? $10,000 a month, $100,000 a ballpark?
Oh, the Minneapolis company. They bought multiple tactics. It wasn't just pay-per-click, even though that's what he was looking for. We're doing their SEO. We're doing what's called presence, where we go in and fix all their local listings. And it's they're spending right now about $12,000 a month, and 9 of that is going to the pay-per-click. So, and that includes all the investment to Google itself.
Do you know the return?
That's a funny story. The first 3 weeks that we had their campaign, they got a lead that got them a $150,000 job, which almost paid for their entire marketing budget for the year. So the return was very good. Right now, I think they're looking at an 8-to-1, 10-to-1 ROI. So it truly is. And again, I want to make sure you guys know this. These are my sales slides, but I'm just letting you know these are the tactics. If you work with somebody already that you like, please continue to work with them. I'm just saying these are the tactics that we have. I'm here to tell you what's important. Yes.
A couple questions. One, TikTok.
Yes.
What's your feelings about TikTok? I've heard so much that it's a Chinese company and they really just store data on you to use it against you later on in life to run for a political office or anything. So what's your feelings on TikTok?
TikTok is actually, it's one of the mediums that, or one of the tactics that we just had a meeting about internally about how it's going to just grow. It's the podcasts it's going to be more and more important in your marketing mix. So even though there are some discrepancies like you talked about, it will continue to probably make headlines. It's going to be increasingly important because its user base is growing exponentially right now. And if you don't take advantage of that, you might be left behind.
Okay, so you're not so worried about what China's storing information?
No.
All right, one quick one that, is say I put my barbecue sauce on the market and someone gets sick and makes a big stink about it. How can you bury that?
Okay, well, first of all, I'd hope that never happens, number one. But there are ways. There are ways, I'm not sure if I can answer it completely, but there are ways through Yelp, through some of the social listings and review sites that are out there, that you can have people come in, they can't make those reviews go away. But what we do is we have teams that go in and respond to those reviews and say, we're sorry you had that experience. Please reach out to me directly. I'll make it right. That way, when people are reading these reviews, they read your response. They say, wow, this company really does care. He wants to make it right. So even though you can't make those go away, you can address them. So when people are reading them, they go, okay, they gave him a 1 star, but he's doing everything he can to make it better. So that's what it is.
We've done that with people if they're angry. We give a point of contact, please call us. So
There you
I have
go.
that experience. Because some of those you just can't help it. Listen, it's the probability.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. But if that's, and you're doing it the right way, you're addressing those. And that's one of the things that we do. So this is the big one. 82% by 2023, 82% of all internet traffic will be videos. And what that means is that every site that you go to will have video on it. The content will be video. So if you have a video ad that can be inserted, either pre-roll or mid-roll, you're going to be able to advertise in those media where some are skippable, some are not. But again, it gives you that sight, sound, and motion. And it's also, unlike television, this is affordable. You pay for it on a cost per thousand basis. So it's $20 to reach 1,000 people. Yes.
Are you saying that the video could be 10 second, 20 second, 30 second? And do you create it or does the issue create it?
Either one. Either you create it, we have creative production services, and those aren't as much as you might think, because there are ways to do this very, very efficient. Because you don't necessarily need to have a big production shoot, but depending on what you're doing, if you're a car dealership, you might want to put a little more behind your production. If it's something as simple as a barbecue sauce, you could probably create one for $1,500 and have something good out there that you can put into the marketplace. So any more questions on that before I move forward? Yes, sir.
Yeah, during the pandemic, everybody got overwhelmed with the Zoom meetings.
Mhm.
And it looks like Zoom meetings are still very prominent all over the place. How do you incorporate Zoom meetings with the advertising here?
Zoom, I use it all the time. And I think people got more comfortable using it over the pandemic. But from my standpoint, like you heard me talk about the Minnesota example, I wouldn't have been able to get that business without Zoom. I mean, we had Zoom meetings all the time. And from a digital standpoint, I can sell all over the country. So it's becoming more and more important. But yes, they definitely saw a huge increase because of COVID, but it also allowed people to get much more comfortable with that type of interaction. So I think they're much more willing to accept a Zoom meeting now, especially if they're busy and they can't make it to my offices and I can't make it to theirs. You can take a Zoom meeting in your car while you're driving down the road. So it opens up a lot of different avenues and a lot of more ability to communicate with people. Now, connected TV and over the top, this is one of my favorite. I don't know if any of you are Padre fans, but Friday night, the Padres game was on Apple TV. And that made a lot of people angry, but you know what? That's the way things are going. Today's game is on NBC Peacock. So you're gonna see more of that. Thursday Night Football is now on Amazon Prime only. So you're gonna continue to see that. And the more people that are streaming, the more advertisers that are streaming are gonna be the ones that end up getting the business. And the best part about this is you can target who you're talking to with this. And if you don't know what I'm talking about with connected TV, These are any devices like you see up here, your Apple TVs, your Roku, Vizio, Sling, Pluto, any of these devices that you use to watch or stream TV outside of broadcast or your cable provider. And you have many people, I have another slide next that talks about this, but shows the sheer numbers. I mean, 52% of adults over 18 use at least one over-the-top service. And this is great because it not only does it show on your TV, you can actually target by demographic. So if you were watching that game on Friday, that Padre game on Friday on Apple TV, there's a good chance that your neighbor watching that same game next door got different ads and commercial breaks than you did, which is amazing. It truly is, depending on that household. Yeah, and that's how this is going to continually evolve because they want to put ads in front of people that they have more propensity to buy that product. And so it makes sense. Is it a little scary from a Big Brother standpoint? Yes, absolutely. But if it makes your life easier, it gives you products that you need and puts them in front of you, and gives you a way to purchase them, then there's something to be said for that. But that's over the top TV. I'm going to be talking a little bit about that later too. But programmatic audio here, this is for your Spotify's, your Pandoras, any of these sites, any way if you listen to an Odyssey app to get your baseball games like I do. These are ways that you can target people, and it's called programmatic because you can buy a specific audience. If you're looking for males 18 to 49, you're just serving your ads to males 18 to 49 through all of these different devices, Spotify, what have you. So this is a way to get radio, but instead of being broadcast, you're in the ears of the exact people you want to talk to. You can even target as much as faith. If you want to talk to Christians specifically, we can find a network that just connects with Christians, likewise in conservatives. So lots of targeting capabilities here, whereas radio as a whole broadcasts to everyone listening at specific time. And again, I'm going to have this posted so you guys can read it. I know there's a lot of words that I'm not going over here.
Do you have conversion rates?
Conversion, yeah, that's the most important part of this business, conversion rates. Absolutely, that's what we're looking for. I mean, even pay-per-click was one of those, they used to optimize around clicks, when clicks don't mean anything. If clicks just mean that somebody clicked on the ad, we want to know who clicked, who picked up the phone and made an appointment or purchased the barbecue. That's what we want. So that's how everything is measured now, is through conversions, no longer clicks. So good question. Social media displays. Social media is not going anywhere, as we know. This is another avenue that a lot of people like. You can put your ads right into somebody's post. You can use this on Instagram as well as Facebook. Twitter, obviously, you see brands incorporating themselves into Twitter as well as Facebook and Instagram. But very, very important. Let's see, 71% of consumer buying decisions are influenced by social media. 82 minutes a day people spend on social media now. So that's quite a bit. And this is very important, Facebook retargeting. So anybody that visits your site, and I'm going to be talking about this a little bit later too. There's going to be a quiz. Just kidding. But Facebook retargeting, anybody that goes to your website and clicks that little box at the bottom that says cookies, you know, anybody that goes to your site and clicks that, they're now tagged to where if they go back and start going through their own Facebook feed, you can send them an ad right into their feed that says, hey, purchase right now, free shipping, one day only, that kind of thing, to get them to act immediately. And that's something that's very important that a lot of advertisers are taking full advantage of. And again, these tactics are not expensive as you might think, folks. These are tactics that even local advertisers can afford, because what you're paid for is the amount of impressions. And so if it's local and there's not that many impressions, then you're just being very efficient. You're not spending that much money, you're being very efficient. Next up, email marketing. I know you spoke about it earlier a little bit, but this is great because we can target by so many different selects when it comes to email. I'm working with a company called Law Tigers. They do legal issues, personal injury for motorcycle riders. Well, I did a search just in San Diego for motorcycle riders. It came back with 75,000 names in San Diego with email addresses that we can send an email to. And so that's out there right now. We're probably going to be doing some business with them once I show them that we can find these people that have opted into, addition to receive messages from sponsors. So email marketing, very, very important, depending on the product, once again, depending on what you're selling and who you're selling to. And geofencing and conversion zones, this is great. This is also a little bit Big Brother, but one of the great ways we're using this, for anybody who doesn't know what geofencing is, we can actually draw a line around a location. Say if you want to target baseball fans, we can draw a line around Petco Park, and anybody that walked into that geofenced area would get tagged by location services on their phone, and then we can serve them ads up to 30 days later after they leave. So that's one of those. That's one of those that people are taking a lot of advantage of. One great example of this, recruitment has been a big challenge for a lot of companies. We're working with some Domino's franchisees right now that need delivery drivers. This is one of the smartest usages of geofencing I've ever heard. So what we've done is we've gone out, geofenced the competitors, the Papa John's, the Pizza Huts, and then we can tell who goes in and out of those locations multiple times a day, tag them as delivery drivers, and then serve them ads later on saying, come work for Domino's. How is that? That's pretty cool. And on top of that, we can cross-device match them and send them ads to their television sets, because we know that they use the same email address on their phone that they did to set up their over-the-top streaming device. So now we're cross-device matching it across multiple devices too. So it's amazing what we can do with the technology that's out there. And retargeting, this is a very simple and efficient tactic. Only 3% of users convert on their first visit to a website. That means 97% of the time they don't. So we need to figure out how to stay in front of these people. And again, they click that yes, I accept the cookies button. We can then follow them around and serve them ads for 30 days after. So very important tactic here. Surround chat, this is one, I'm using it. Again, my Minneapolis client is using this. He was a little hesitant at first, but this is where you have that little box in the bottom right where you have, where a person pops up. I'll show you an example real quick of how can I help you? What can I do for you to answer any questions? This is after hours. If nobody's there to answer your phone, then you can use this, and these are real people that can answer your questions. Yeah, so that's kind of nice to have.
Are they 24/7 or what?
24/7. Yeah, and
These are real people.
and you can teach them. You can tell them what you want them to talk about, and teach them about your business as well. But reporting and analytics, I know I have a little time left, and I want to get to my example at the end here. So reporting and analytics, very important to show you how well everything's doing with your campaigns, because everything is transparent. Why us? You have brand safety. We manage your campaigns. We optimize, deliver results. I want to tell you about Susie. Now, Susie needs some new workout pants. And this is how I'm going to show you how important it is that you have multiple tactics. Susie needs some new workout pants. So she goes to the gym one day and she sees her friend and she's wearing the pants that she wants. So she talks to her friend and she says, what brand are those? And she says, these are brand A. And so she goes, okay, I'm going to look for some of those. And so Susie jumps on the treadmill and she starts walking. She goes, I'm going to search for them right now. And so she searched brand A workout pants. And so brand A comes up and as the organic listing, because anybody who's doing any SEO, they type your brand name in, you're going to come up first. But then also there are brands B, C, and D, and they do the same thing. They have workout pants as well, but they bought pay-per-click and they bought her name, brand A's name. So they're showing up there in the search results as well. So she has some time. She's only on mile 1 on the treadmill, right? So she's still walking, and so she investigates brand B, brand C, along with brand A, goes to all their websites, clicks the cookie box because it's covering up the pictures of the leggings that she's trying to buy. So she just wants to get rid of that box. And so at that point, she's done with her workout. She leaves. Her friend told her that brand A has a retail store in the mall. And so she goes to the retail store and starts looking around, and she gets a phone call. Johnny at school fell from the monkey bars. She has to get down and pick him up at the nurse's office at school. So she runs down there. She doesn't purchase anything at the retail store. She gets Johnny. Later on, she goes home and she's making dinner. Everybody's okay. Johnny didn't break his arm. It was just a couple bruises. And she's making dinner. She has a recipe up that she's looking at. And lo and behold, here's brand B and brand D ads right next to the recipe for these leggings. And so she's wondering, well, how did brand D get there? She didn't even go to brand D's website earlier. Brand D geofenced the retail store that she went into. And now she walked into that store, left, and now she's looking at the recipe. She's looking at a recipe, and brand D and brand B are there. She doesn't have time to make any decisions, but it's just a little reminder that they're still there and she needs to buy these bands. So she's getting ready for bed later. She's scrolling through her Facebook feed, and what shows up but brand B with the exact style that she was looking at, 20% off with free shipping. So what does she do? She clicks on that ad, she buys the yoga pants, and she buys them from brand B when all she wanted to do was buy brand A the entire time. So what happened here? Brand B outsmarted her completely with the customer journey. They understood the customer journey much better and were in all those key points. So that's all I have for today. And thank you guys so very much. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. My contact info is here. This is going to be posted on the site. So you guys are good. Thank you so much.
Close us in prayer. Lord, thank you so much for being with us, for your presence, and for your love. And thank you for Chad and his message to us. Help us to take this information and put it to work in our businesses and pray for success, pray for good next steps this coming week. In your fantastic name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.